again. Once again, I very warmly welcome all the distinguished speakers and all our attendees and the team for this wonderful webinar that we're going to be having today, and this exciting topic, which is very relevant for not just business school management sector and the B school students, of course, but I think it applies to almost every professional. It applies to every, educational institution as such, no matter which sector they belong to. So Neha, over to you to kickstart our webinar.
Thank you, Meghla. Thank you, everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone. Good morning. And GHRDC welcomes you to today's webinar titled Innovation, Risk and Resilience, examining the evolving landscape of business management sector and lessons to be learned. Thank you, everyone, for taking out time and joining in with us today. We are very delighted to have with us experts from industry and academia for this discussion. On behalf of the whole GHRDC team, I welcome our expert panel members. GHRDC, as many of you would be aware, is a 26 years old research education firm dedicatedly working in the education sector in the area of ranking, training, mentoring, and research, with the sole aim of working on upgrading the quality of education in various sectors and benchmarking the best of the educational institutions in our country. The transition of students into management professional is vital for driving progress, addressing societal, industrial challenges, and improving the overall well-being of societies and economies. The skills and expertise of management advancements on both local and global. Professionals contribute to industrial, technological, economic, and societal advancements on both local and global scales. Today's topic is about the significance of innovation, risk, and resilience in the fast-paced, evolving landscape of business management sector, and how that B schools and management students of today need to know and work on to become front runners of innovation. We now will be inviting our distinguished speakers to talk about this exciting topic. Also, I would request our wonderful attendees to type in your questions for our speakers in the chat box, which is given along with the name of the speaker it is addressed to. Now, I would request our Assistant Director and Ranking Head, Ms. Aradhana Changakoti, to introduce our eminent speakers for today. Over to you, Aradhana.
Thank you, Neha. Good morning, everyone. I'll now introduce our esteemed speakers for today's webinar. Dr. Vinita Singh Sahai is the founder director of IIM Bodh Gaya and has been recently appointed for a consecutive second term. She is an academic leader, administrator, educator, researcher with global outlook and national focus. Professor Sahai carries 27 years of rich experience spanning academics, research, training, and consulting, both in India and abroad. She did her PGDM with marketing as a major concentration area. She secured first class first with gold medal in MA in economics and has done PhD on customer value. She was also a visiting professor at Aarhus University, Denmark for 10 years. Professor Sahai participated in Global Colloquium on Participant-Centered Learning at the Harvard Business School, Boston, USA, and Harvard Center, Shanghai, China. Professor Sahai is the independent director at BSC subsidiary India INX, India's first international exchange located in Ahmedabad. She is member of General Council of National Board of Accreditation. She is also a member of All India Board of Management Studies. As a founder director since 2018, Professor Sahai is executing carefully prepared strategic plan for setting up a world-class state-of-the-art campus at IIM Bodh Gaya. As a research-based business school, IIM Bodh Gaya has made remarkable progress under her leadership. Prior to IIM Bodh Gaya, she was professor of marketing at IIM Raipur since 2012, holding several academic leadership positions. Before her stint at IIM Raipur, Professor Sahai was the professor and chairperson of PGDM program at IMT Ghaziabad. She has conducted many management development programs for senior executives in the public and private sector and several consulting assignments for the government, non-government sector. Professor Sahai has published and presented over 70 research papers in international, national journals and conferences and authored book chapters. As a token of excellence of her work, she has received many academic awards, including Best Paper Award. We welcome you for today's webinar, ma'am. Dr. Monisha Borthakur is an accomplished professional with careers spanning over 26 years in information technology and public sector business. Monisha is currently handling large-scale IT transformational program in the government sector as a part of India unit at Infosys Limited. She has, to her credit, publications of number of thought papers in national and international journals and invited as speakers in different forums. Monisha has worked with cross-cultural and multilingual clients across numerous international funding agencies such as World Bank, ADB, DFID, and other UN agencies. Her credentials include being a PhD in operational research and MBA in international business, MSc in statistics, and has also undergone an executive education program on strategy beyond markets, government relations, and public affairs from Graduate School of Business, Stanford University. She received the Women in Leadership certification from Stanford Graduate School of Business conducted by Infosys Leadership Institute. She is currently a director with Infosys and has been so for last 12 years. Prior to this, she was the Chief Operating Officer of CSC eGov Services Limited, Associate Vice President at IL&FS before that, and also worked in PwC as a consultant. In her leisure time, Monisha is interested in books, music, and traveling. In fact, she makes it a point to take out the time for this. Welcome, Monisha. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much.
We have Meghla Sinha, the Executive Director of GHRDC, who will be acting as a moderator for the discussion today. With this, I would request Meghla to now take over and initiate the panel discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aradhana. Once again, very warm greetings to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Vinita Sahai and Dr. Monisha Borthakur. Thank you for joining us. We're very excited to have both of you. And today's webinar is truly about women power. We are absolutely dominated by very powerful women today. The topic is very, very interesting and something very relevant, not just for the business management education sector and B-School students, but I feel for the entire education fraternity. We are going to be focusing a lot on skills, risk, resilience, and innovation aspect on management education and industry point of view. So my first question, I'll start with Dr. Vinita Sahai, ma'am. Ma'am, the first question that I'd like to talk to you about is what kind of skills do you feel are very essential for the business management students today when you think of future business leaders? And how do you think that business management educational institutions should work towards it? Or maybe you can also give us examples of how IIM Bodh Gaya is working towards it. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and everyone else who's been coordinating and who has made this possible. And I'm really, really privileged to be here. Now that you're asking me about the qualities needed in tomorrow's manager. Actually, yes. If I recall my visit to Harvard, which we consider to be the mecca of management education in today's time, around 2017, when I was there, all of a sudden I noticed that there was a shift. And again, I feel very proud that most of the innovative work at Harvard is also done by lots of Indian professors who are doing exceptionally well there. But I could clearly see the shift from to do to be. Till then time, the entire management education was all about how do we do better, how do we do faster. So it was all about concepts like Six Sigma, just in time. All that was was dominating the mind space. And all of a sudden, the conversation was about to be. Actually, frankly speaking, if you ask me, I didn't understand. And then in 2018, I landed here in Bodh Gaya, which is known as the City of Enlightenment. And before even I came, my students had already started calling our institutions #EnlighteningIIM. And I remember I told them, don't you think it's too loud a claim for a new school to make? And then we stopped it. And in very recent time, we started it all over again, calling ourselves the Enlightening IIM. And why do we say so is because in this entire journey, of course, in typical consulting and strategy circles, we keep saying that how the world is moving from VUCA and from VUCA to BANI these days. From earlier, the whole mindset was in terms of when we were talking VUCA, we were talking volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. Now, even that's not enough. because at that point of time, the organizations and the businesses were talking more in terms of adaptability, more in terms of, concepts like agile processes, concepts like flexible manufacturing. How do we keep it ready for the volatile world? But even that is a passe now. Now we're talking of money, which is brittle, anxious, non-linear. And how do we prepare students who are ready for it? So as a school, yes, we feel we are extremely there, because to make sense out of this incomprehensible world, to make sense out of this brittle and anxious world, the organizations all of a sudden have started focusing on very different things. They have started talking about risk tolerance. They've started talking about taking care of emotional needs of their employees. They are possibly talking about how do they strengthen their processes where they can handle the problems, non-linearly. So in all these requirements, we realized the graduates have to be different. And we kind of concluded that we have to work on first the emotional strength and resilience of our students. And lucky as we were, being in the land of mindfulness, we chose our core value to be mindfulness. And, it has become the whole team has become so passionate about it. And we were lucky to have our initial HR team where everybody possibly was focusing either on positivism, work-life balance, or resilience. So today, if you visit our campus, right in the center, you will find the best metaphor possible for mindfulness, which is a Nandi. And people always ask me, how can you, being a secular institution, install Nandi? And I keep saying that, Nandi is the most appropriate metaphor for mindfulness, because Nandi is inert yet alert. Nandi is always aware of the environment around. Nandi is always perseverant, and it's all about listening. People go and say things in the ear of Nandi. So that's a metaphor. That's the manifestation of the core value, not just in physical structures, but also in curriculum. So we have courses like mindfulness, emotional health, emotional well-being, yoga. Not just that, we also realize that since the students and the graduates have to be very adaptable, so they have to be constantly churning data. They have to constantly take decisions based on the change scenario. So there are a lot of courses on analytics. People have to constantly keep on working on prototypes and recreating the product. So we have courses like design thinking. So essentially, I do feel that people need emotional health, people need critical thinking and problem solving, and people need adaptability. And as a school, we have to be ready for that.
Absolutely phenomenal. I think what you summarized is so different from the kind of structure and expectation we've been following for B school students. You talked about such wonderful things that we've not really been able to implement, I think, so far in majority of the business schools in India. I think the fact that you talked about not so much about to do, but to be, emotional strength and resilience, and of course, mindfulness. I think this really, really sets this entire discussion apart, and it takes us in the direction of really reflecting as to what are the kind of skills and qualities are we really looking for beyond the just the usual list of skills and qualities that we look for in B school students. Very, very enlightening indeed. Thank you, Dr. Sai. My next question is to Dr. Monisha Borthakur. Ma'am, you are such a leading corporate leader who has had such a wide exposure in so many different industries. So this question is related to innovation. I'm sure this is an aspect that you must be really valuing a lot in your employees, in your team members. What qualities do you look for in your colleagues or in your employees when it comes to innovation? How do you really make that out?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Vinita for, saying the words she had mentioned. Yes, I'm really happy to know that such initiatives are already taken in the institutes, because when we try to look, because innovation, our tagline is navigate the next. So it is not always, what to do, but to be. So navigate the next is the tagline that we all follow. So whenever we look for students who can, one key thing, that Narayan Murthy, from that time it's going on, learn and unlearn. So you have to have that inquisitive mind to learn always. It's not that, you have already learned, you have so many degrees, etc. That is nowadays not that important. Importance is how resilient you are, what can you innovate, what mindset you bring in from the institute, what kind of training you have, what you have done already. And when we see earlier, in maybe 10, 15 years ago, when we interview, we look into the projects. When we go for campus interview, we look into the projects, what projects he has done, etc. Now we see what are the failures he had. Failure is an important element. People should take the risk. Taking risk is very important. You should be open to take up risks and then fail. That's okay. From the failures, what you have learned. So that is what we actually look at and try to understand how he has implemented, and whether he has that mindset to kind of get into that interactiveness, what is needed. See, there are a few attributes which is needed there. One is that, as I said, yeah, interactiveness. We don't go for transactional. So how do you get more and more from that? So that kind of questioning and answering, while talking to the student or the candidate, we try to find out that, and from over the discussion, etc., we know that this person has the ability to learn, to take up risks, and then grow in future and navigate the next. So that's what I kind of look at, or we the organization look at.
What a path-breaking concept you've talked about, Dr. Manisha. I think failure, looking at failures as as a milestone, and really, this message that is going out to students today is to be fearless, and to go
Yeah,
about and make as many mistakes as possible and look at it as learning points. We are so
correct.
focused on being perfect and on adding a lot of credentials to our resume or looking good in front of people. But what
Yes.
you're talking about is absolutely incredible and something very relevant to the
Yeah.
B School community. So if this B School education community sector can give students that kind of an opportunity to,
Yeah.
adapt and to make mistakes and learn and unlearn and again keep doing that over a period of time, I think that is something which can bring about a huge change.
Yeah, yeah. And if I just when I said there are few attributes which I like to convey to the students, there are, I have conceptualized 5 attributes for the students only. One is, as I already mentioned, about interactions rather than transactional. You have to enter in, and what next if there's a failure, get into that. If somebody has innovated something, you try to, how do you better that, try to understand from the users, from the market. If you have developed any product, any app, you just to find out what is next. That is, so you have to interact with that. That is kind of one. And then next is the ecosystem. You have to think what is the ecosystem you are having. For example, any kind of organization, Amazon, Flipkart, or any retail organizations, when you enter, then you have to think about the supply chain side, logistics, supply chain, and then also the people working there. So for each and every entire ecosystem, it is not a linear one. It's like a modular kind of circular thing, which you have to look from one to the other, and then you have to think about the entire ecosystem to develop any innovations wherever needed. That's another way of thinking. Then also the sentience, we call it sentience, meaning you have to sense. You have to sense it, what it is, the person, what it is, where you are stuck, where the user is stuck. You have to sense that and do that before anyone does it. So that is what is the navigate the next. So sentience is another thing which we focus on. And then, of course, the platform mindset. We are also into platform organization. Services is one, but many platforms are already developed by all the other, Microsoft, Google, many of those, or many companies have developed. But earlier, the platform was like, it was static. Now it is evolving. It has to be linked to some other platform. So whenever you develop anything, you have to be flexible. Think about what in the future the market would come from, what they would look at. So you have to think about flexibility, keeping it open. So that is another attribute. And other important is the last but not least is the micro is the new mega. You have to start from small. You can think of big, that's okay, but start from small. So do the micro part first, and then start improving success, style improving. Start from there. So that these are the five, I can again say, think interactions, think ecosystem, sentience, platform mindset, micro is the new mega. So these are the things.
Absolutely awesome. I hope the student community and the B School education sector who are listening us live today and who are there on a webinar are making a note of such incredible insights. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, these are a very different set of lists that we really don't talk about. And I think with both of you coming in, where ma'am spoke about mindfulness, about emotional strength, and various other aspects that we really don't look into, and with you talking about micro is the new mega, and talking about failures, I think this is something which the students can really, really take back a lot from. Ma'am, over to you for my second question. Dr. Sahai, after COVID especially, we have come out with a lot of lessons learned. And what we've realized is that resilience is equal to sustainability and rather sustainable success. So I think it goes without saying that in our B School students and in our B School education sector, resilience is now something which is very highly needed. How would you say that we should instill the quality of resilience in students, especially in the business management education sector?
See, as Mitra, you were mentioning about the impact of COVID, there were two major impacts of COVID, especially in our B School education and corporate world or business at large. One is the world realized that we can't continue this to interaction. So that perhaps also is the reason why, even IMBG would be possibly the fastest and the youngest in India to get AACSB, because at that point of time, we combined our value to be socially responsible and mindful leaders to produce. And the socially responsible was a new standard which was created for business schools. Now, how do we create such managers is also very important. So within our setup, as I mentioned to you, that we introduce new courses like emotional intelligence, resilience, science of well-being, lots of life skills like yoga, corporate social responsibility. All these became very, very intensive, long duration and credit bearing interactions. So that, and not that we ensure that they are just there, we also ensure that the professors and the facilitators who are delivering them speak the language which the youngsters understand. It should not come as a sermonizing. They should be very open to it first, because what we also realize that current generation faces much more turbulence. As I said, they're brittle, anxious. So you can't teach them, you can't tackle them the same way as we've been doing earlier. So at our end also much more sensitive handling was needed, and especially post-COVID, we got all these COVID batches, as we call it. These were the students who were under immense pressure when they were giving the class 10 or 12. And we also have an ITM course, so they joined us just post that. And we found that they were scarred. in so many ways, because one fine day, their entire ecosystem was taken away from them, their school, their tuitions, their coaching, their friends, their playgrounds, everything. And what was given to them was a device which parents were not ready to give them earlier to that. But, and in the same device was, I would say, the entire universe. So how would a class 12 or or a graduate student, knowing fully that in the same device there is all kinds of stuff, and the physics numericals and the mathematic equations and very interesting stuff, how would he manage within all of it? We all feel sad for current, at least not sad, but we do recognize that the kind of challenges, like if you, when you and me were growing up, there were no distractions. I remember we only had Wednesday's Chitrahar and Sunday movie. Today, a young person has a zillion of distractions. Other day, when YouTube suggested me that, would you like to watch it at 1.5x? I had this feeling that if YouTube would have been a person, I would have slapped him hard, because I felt that, oh, you're trying to spoil me as well, because all that I see the younger generation is they're all watching YouTube at 1.5x or 2x. So they just don't have the attention span. And nobody is we keep demanding them, concentrate on your food, concentrate on your studies, concentrate on your careers. But point is, are we teaching them? There's every life skill which people do have. There's some provision or the other by how we're teaching them. If we're not teaching them how to be more resilient, how to be more present in the moment. So we realized all these needs. We realized that EQ is going to be taken care by AIs of the world. In tomorrow's world, recruiters like Monisha and all, they are not going to look up for IQ alone. IQ they can substitute with artificial IQs, but what they need is EQ. A student who is able to handle such uncertain situations, such anxieties which happen with such, incomprehensible ways in which the world reacts, like what happened yesterday. All of a sudden, the entire thing came crashing down. So imagine the people who were in the banking, those who were in the aviation. All of a sudden, you have to drop it all and learn new things and handle it as and when it is. So that requires resilience, that requires problem solving, that requires adaptability. So because otherwise, is there any conversation in the college is happening around it? So we for sure were aware of it, that this is our responsibility as a B school. I know I'm going a little longish, but rather than being condescending towards the young people, that they are so distracted, that they are so self-occupied, self-centered, narcissist, in body image conscious, and the list goes on with the current young generation, we realize that this is something which they themselves are coping up at all times. And we have to be compassionate towards them and give them a toolkit. So all these long duration, very subtle courses like science of well-being, we help them handle their emotions, first become aware of them, then handle them better, then cooperate with others better. Because there's also a social shift happening. First, it was from joint families to nuclear families, from nuclear families to single child families, and single child family with both the parents working. So there is no resilience which was happening in our childhood happening in families. Remember your days and my days, Nikla? We never had our own individual bedrooms, own individual washrooms. Anybody could walk in any time, and those were practical lessons of resilience. We could stake claim on nothing in the house because everything was shared. Now, with single children, single bedrooms, single houses, people just don't know how to share. So many times in the first year, we are putting the students together just so that they learn resilience. It's just that they know sharing, just that they know how to tolerate others and others' existence. Then with these long duration courses, which are not hurry and ticking box, but which stays with them, because we get students who are highly intelligent. The only way we can reach out to them is through logic. So slowly and surely through 40 hours session, we keep on working that they themselves realize the need of it, be it mindful eating, be it mindful consumption, consumption of all varieties, including digital, be it self-awareness, being awareness about their emotions. So this is the toolkit. We leave it with them, knowing fully that they would need it as and when they would be, going ahead with life.
Absolutely incredible. I think, I mean, we thought that this webinar will go in a certain direction, in terms of talking about, okay, what courses and this and that. But I think both of you have been, throwing light at such wonderful and varied aspects of human mind and human emotions and feelings and development, that it's absolutely incredible. And I'm taking a lot from what this discussion is really, revealing itself today. So thank you for sharing that. uh, Dr. Manisha, again, I pose the same question about resilience to you. Like I said, resilience is the new parameter for success. It's like the new sustainable success parameter that we look at both in industry and education sector. So one question is, do you look at it as a very valid parameter when you're looking at your new management, students entering the industry, number one? And number two, how do you think we can instill resilience as a mindset in these students?
Yeah, so Mekhla, I hope you can hear me, right? Yeah, so the 5 attributes which I actually, mentioned in my previous question, it's that there's one which we always, look at. And then obviously, when we say navigate the next tagline, it has to be resilience is something which is one of the key things which we all keep on talking about. So now we are an IT organization. So, a continuous improvement, continuous learning, getting more and more ideas, adapting to whatever cross section of industries and ecosystems, you have to be resilient with that. And for that, what we also look at the students' knowledge in terms of modern technology that is there, because technology is one thing which is evolving in such a way. You have to be agile in all the large deals. Also earlier it was waterfall, whatever, those the models we use. Now it's not like that. You have to be agile, and to be agile, resilient is something which you have to, and you have to see the inside, adopt the technology, modern, learn what is going on around you, because you have to always look at what your competitors can bring in and what you can bring in before they bring in. So for that thing, you have to redefine the possibility, by bridging the gap between whatever was there in the digital world and through technology. So it motivate the young, generation to kind of rely on what is the new technology that is going on, and go for, again I'm talking about, go for failures and adapt and learn from that. So getting insights from knowing what is getting in the, what is there in the technology, and redefining possibility, which is, you maybe you have, when you innovated something, you may have thought of something, but you end up getting something else. So how do you actually take it from there? And then your failure is also kind of success in one way, that gave you something different which you never thought of earlier, perhaps. From there, how you can go and get the, the value add in the table, that is what we look at. So resilience is, yes, having those 5 attributes and getting adapted in the new technology is something which we always look for.
Very well said, ma'am. I think the fact that you've been able to connect, resilience with the fact that mistakes is a very important part of our learning journey is actually what you're saying is it's going to be a natural outcome actually of that. Because the more they make mistakes, the more they learn from their failures, learn and unlearn, more resilient they naturally become. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Sahai, again, I would like to focus on the third aspect of the webinar topic today, which is, again, like ma'am, Dr. Manisha said, that it's very, very relevant. Our technologies are changing. at a very rapid speed, and not just technologies, the entire business landscape in the industry is changing at a very rapid pace. We learn something today, and then it kind of becomes redundant tomorrow. So in this kind of a scenario, how do we foster a culture of innovation among students? And this question I'm posing to you, so that you can share your advice to the other B School education community, who have joined us today and who are watching this.
Yeah, so you're very correct, Meghla, that today's students has to be continuously innovating. Though I've always felt that whether it is sustainability or whether it is innovation, this has been always a part of our genetic setup, I guess, because I laugh it off when people say that we should learn sustainability, because India's culture is all about sustainability. Likewise, India's culture is all about innovation. Like we all know Jugaad, that how whenever faced with any problem, our mind naturally starts working towards it. How do I crack it and how do I handle it? And more so, even frugally. Having said that, how do we foster innovation on campus? See, two things. One is, as we all know, that IIM campuses are completely student driven. And be it the way we run our campus, and we are I don't know whether how many people are aware of it, that IIM Bodhgaya has already become the second largest IIM in the country. So it's a huge student community. So this June, I'm going to have close to about 1,600 students. So it's a large community, very bright brains, continuously working amongst themselves, how to improve systems, processes of everything that we do, be it our placements, be it even simple things, how we manage our mess and laundry. Having said that, and then of course, the massive interaction with the outside world, whether it is in terms of hackathons or all these case study competitions, all these live projects which they continuously keep on doing. Besides that, I've always felt that one area in which Indian business schools were not doing so well compared to the rest of the best schools in the world is around incubation cells on campus. So we already have two Section 8 companies registered, one by limited by shares and one by limited by guarantee, where we have these incubators on campus. Now, our students may not be necessarily becoming straightaway entrepreneurs themselves, but the very fact that they are hobnobbing and they are doing a lot of problem solving for startups on campus. And I also feel happy to share there are about 7 startups of these students, student-driven startups also operating on campus. So everybody is experimenting, everybody is trying out new things. I won't say that the student startups don't go wrong. They try something, they go wrong, they again try something next year. And especially this is becoming possible with that long duration 5 years integrated program where they're younger and much more eager and ready to take the risk. So this whole concept of innovation, entrepreneurship, trying new things, going wrong, failing, trying again, all that is inbuilt. And in this, these incubation companies, these startup companies, and this incubation cell is really playing a major role, along with whole lot of competitions and interactions, which luckily post-COVID geographies have failed to just cease to exist. And sitting here in the smaller towns also, our students are not just competing nationally, but they are also competing internationally. They are racking their brains and coming up with creative solutions for issues across the boundaries. So, which is very exciting times on campus. And the best part is this is like a virus. So with a large student community and very closely held community, this is spreading and we are extremely proud of it.
Thank you, ma'am. I think again, this is something for our B schools to take a lot back from, because like you said, it has to be a student-driven initiative, first of all. It has to be something that they take it upon themselves and then they carry it forward. But like you said, innovation is something which is very, very important in today's time, and it is something that we need to constantly keep working on as a B school community and as a sector. In fact, Dr. Manisha, I'd like to pose the same question to you today as an industry person.
Mm.
That what are your views on, or what advice rather would you give to B schools, of today as an educational institution to foster risk, resilience, innovation in general? What if you would like to, talk about
Sure.
certain aspects that you would want them to implement, or some areas that you feel that they should be working on? What would they be, and maybe how you can
Yes, yeah,
elaborate on it?
thank you. Thank you. This is very important, question and things that everybody should implement. See, there is every B school, or not only B school, everywhere in our organization also, learning is something which is already there for everyone, not only in B school. So for the new generation, what facility we should provide, or the B schools should provide, is that some kind of what we call it lex. Lex is a learning platform where it is see, every individual is unique. You cannot expect everyone to do same kind of because innovation is something which comes from creativity. So somebody has to have the facility to think on his own, or maybe his along with his small team members, and then grow from there. So that facility can come from, if you give them a platform. Now that it's available, that's we call it wingspanners. Multiple platforms are there where you can give that access to each individual, where they will learn. There are multiple courses will be there, what is going on across, in terms of technology, in terms of soft skill, in terms of what Dr. Vinita talked about, emotional thing. Everything should be taken care of. That kind of training platform should be provided. Now it is that it'll grow from there. So once it is there, if any student picks up, if he's good in now AI, everybody wants to learn, because that's the thing which is happening, and that comes from data. So he should get a platform, like we call it playbook kind of a thing. He should get that area, some kind of an area in that platform, where he can do the develop. As a developer, he can write any language, create something, some app from there, and then try growing from there. It could be an incubator, you call it, or startups also can start from there. The idea can start. So to like to mushroom kind of a thing, a platform should be given in the organization, or I mean in the institutes, for each and every student separately. Uh, One, it is, yes, it is available for all, but keeping in mind that each individual is different. For example, it's available for me also at Infosys. So when I log in, when first you have to register, and then when you log in, then the system will know what what is it that I've already done, what are the certifications I have already have. So you can do the certification, sit for the exams, and then get more and more certifications, and do practical jobs also from there. So that is available for each of one of us. For the developers, it's a different thing he will get. For business leaders, it's a different thing. For HR people, so different people's interest the system will capture, and then it will say that for you this is what is needed. That also can come from AI only. So the system will adapt that for this particular student, this he is interested in this area only. We should try to facilitate him or help him to grow in this area only. No point giving him something which is not of his interest. So that is the facility the institute should give through the platform that is available in the market today. So I am sure many of us are already doing that, but I think that is the beginning where each institute should have for innovation, resilience. From there only they will grow. And then that confidence will come. When you have already done such things in your institute, then you apply for a job, go for a new job, or have your own business. Then you will have that confidence. You will know your foundation is, developed there itself.
Right, ma'am. Right. And yes, you're right. Many B schools are already working on this very
Yeah,
actively, and especially the IIMs. In fact,
correct.
most of the top league business schools in our country, and the ones which have been very, very forward thinking in their approach and visionary, have been working on these areas consistently. And in fact, they have had great success over the years, by working on these areas. Because even after COVID, while a lot of us were
Yeah.
struggling and various other institutions were struggling, these B schools who continued to be on this path really did very well for themselves, and continue to be giving quality education. And thank you so much.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
In fact, now we have some very interesting questions from our attendees and from our student community for the two speakers. So I would request Neha to post those questions.
Thank you, Meghla. So we do have some questions. We'll pick up some interesting ones. We have the first question for Dr. Sahai. It is a question that has been asked by one of the students. What skills and mindset should I work on before entering the corporate world?
To the student who has written this, see, typically, if you recollect what Manisha was also mentioning, that if you can invest some time to understand what is that natural intelligence that you possess, I always strongly advise the students to develop those areas where typically in the world of Howard Gardner, they say their natural intelligence lies. Because just because AI is the top of the town should not be the criteria in which you should get swayed that, okay, I need to get into AI. No, not necessarily. Self-awareness is increasingly becoming more important, and working in tandem with your natural proclivities is what I would very strongly advise to every student. Especially, coming from a B school, there was a time 98% of our students were engineers. Two reasons. One, because CAT is a very, very, that is a test which tests the logical and the mathematical intelligence more than anything else. Secondly, there was no so-called facilities available to a student. Either you became a doctor or an engineer. So if after doing an engineering, you realize that your heart doesn't belong there, then you worked hard again, wrote CAT, and got into a B school, hoping, yes, a B school does allow all kinds of intelligences. So HR needs very different intelligence. So does finance, so does operations, so does IT. So, but having said it, it's still better if you can really become a little more self-aware, little earlier in your life, and develop a skill set which is more in tandem with that. You would develop much, much, much faster. So herein again, it is our responsibilities. In very traditional Indian, historically, the gurus were doing it. Today, I guess the school should do a better job in helping students know what are the natural intelligences available in a student, and based on that intelligence, because there are no areas where the scope is. The scope is in every area. What really matters is excellence, and you possibly can excel in an area where you're naturally inclined to excel. So to any student, I would very strongly advise become a little more self-aware and aware of your proclivities and your intelligences.
Beautifully summarized, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think, again, something which has come as a very big surprise to all our students, that, probably you would have given them a list of, skills and mindset to work on, but you spoke something completely different, and you'd ask them to be, first of all, self-aware and understand where do they really fit in this entire world picture. Beautiful. Again, those who are watching this and who will watch the recording later, I think there's a lot to reflect on for each of the student community and of course the institutions. Neha, you would like to ask the next question?
Yeah. So we have one question for Dr. Monisha. What advice would you give to management students about the importance of risk management in business today?
Yeah, see, first of all, in the previous on, so we should not think or have that thing baggage in the mind that we have to know these many things. We have to be an expert, and we have to have so many degrees, and you have to have list of things to have a mind. That kind of a mind. Nothing of that sort. It's very simple. Just take it easy in the sense, uh, just have a free mind and just do it. You don't have to have that fear in your mind that I have to be knowing these things, only then I can become this. No. So to take risk also, it is any kind of work, you should take it in such a way that it's okay to take a risk. What was the question? Sorry, Neha, you said what is the quality he needs?
What advice would you give to
Advice.
students about importance of risk management in business?
Okay. See, when you say risk management, we don't really get into risk management or anything that way, because risk management is something when a project is already going on, then we already identify that these are certain risks that may come. Then we try to mitigate, do some work how to mitigate if that comes. So that is the different way of I mean, it's a different thing in different project or different work that you do. It is everywhere, when it's a small or big, you may have to have a risk management strategy. How I can only tell you how we do, so you can also follow the similar advice. For example, when you take up any a project, a small project, then these are the you have to have a first thing, you have to have a plan. Without a plan, you cannot do any project. And then you have to also identify, have some plan B, and then also identify some risks. If this does not happen, what if? Like when COVID also, and nobody knew about it. So that kind of uncertainties nobody knows. You have to factor in while you do that. So you factor those uncertainties, which could be a risk. So if that comes for whatever reason, how will you tackle that? That also you have to have a plan depending upon what kind of project you are actually having. So what I'm only advising is that whenever you do planning, plan for some uncertainties, some risks that may come up, and try to have a mitigation plan. That is the risk management which we have in our organizational level. So maybe same for all, but be prepared for any risk. Be prepared to take up any risks. That's what I'm also saying.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. These are questions that we keep getting from our attendees, from our student community, in fact, from various B schools also. So very kind of both of you to answer that. In fact, I'd like to add that, a lot of times, even in their day-to-day lives, students are very apprehensive about taking daily risks. Even in their day-to-day life, for example, participating in various activities or initiatives in the classroom or in the in the B school for many various activities. There's a lot of hesitation. There's always a feeling of judgment. They're self-judging themselves. They're also thinking about what others will think about me. What you said was very true. Just do it. Don't really think about it so much. Don't analyze it. Don't make it a big deal. It's as simple as just going ahead and doing it. And I think the more they can follow that advice, whether it comes to, and of course, planning, like you said, is very important. Having a plan B is very important. Working on various variables is very important. But like you said, the more we overthink it, the more it kind of
Yeah.
spoils the game.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Just go. Just do it.
Just do
Yeah.
it. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In fact, we can just go on and on and on, but
Yeah.
The insights that both of you have been sharing are extremely powerful. I mean, the topic was such that it was something that we are facing currently in our landscape of business management education sector and industry right now. But the kind of inputs both of you have given, right from not just to do, but to be, being self-aware, having mindfulness, and failure as having a badge of honor and creating that as a milestone, learning, unlearning, and so much more that you spoke about. The list just goes on. It has been just an incredible takeaway, I think, for all the students and the business management educational institutions. So once again, I thank both of you wholeheartedly, and especially Dr. Sahai, having gone
Yeah.
through something
Mm.
very, critical today and last couple of days. Thank you so much still for joining us and sharing these beautiful insights and advice for our students, for our educational institutions, and really helping business management education sector foster the culture of risk, resilience, and innovation. Thank you so much once again. We look forward to having you again and interacting with you. Thanks a lot. And Neha, over to
Thank
you for
you.
a thank you note.
Thank you.
So this was a very fruitful and enriching discussion. On behalf of the whole GHRDC team, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all the participants for taking out your time to attend the webinar. And a very, very sincere thanks to our panel of experts. Your presence has been invaluable and has undoubtedly made this webinar a very great success. Thank you everyone once again. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's very interesting for us also. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.